Hello, I'm Juan Davies, Chief Creative Officer at KCT and PBS SoCal, and I'm joined by the newsroom of KPCC and LAist on a daily reporter roundup. How is everyone today?
Doing good.
And thanks again for joining us, Executive Editor Megan Garvey.
Well, thank you for having me, Juan. It's always a pleasure.
Sharon, we had big news today about one of Southern California's most iconic annual events. What's happening?
Yeah, health concerns have canceled the annual New Year's Day Rose Parade. So organizers of the parade consulted with health experts and concluded that California's rate of COVID-19 cases would not be low enough by January 1st to stage this parade, which would be the 132nd version of it. So international marching bands had already withdrawn, and there was the coronavirus infection risk to hundreds of thousands of spectators who lined the 5-mile route. The Rose Parade is also famous for its flowered-covered floats, and it's only been canceled 3 times before, all during the Second World War. Cancellation puts a huge dent in the $200 million that the parade is supposed to contribute to Southern California's tourist economy. And that's a lot for a region that's already experiencing some pretty deep job losses due to the pandemic.
Matt has been closely following a major lawsuit over how LA handles its large and growing homeless population, and he has some updates.
So LA has agreed to find places for 6,700 people living under or near freeways. But in new court documents out this week, lawyers for the city say that identifying locations for these alternative housing options has been complicated. So those options include things like safe parking lots, bridge housing shelters, and possibly even safe campsites. But lawyers say some of those potential sites are bogged down by red tape from a reluctant federal government, for example. Now, not all of that red tape is federal, though. Some of it's local. Lawyers also say that some city zoning prohibits using other sites. And then even some privately held land that the city of LA had hoped to lease has, as the court filings say, become unavailable. The most likely to open before the end of the year will be some sites consisting of prefabricated pallet shelter tiny homes.
Caroline looked into why a major Riverside County hospital has had to ask for federal help to dealing with a rising number of COVID-19 patients.
Yeah, so this hospital called Eisenhower Health in Rancho Mirage is struggling because even though they have enough PPE, ventilators, and beds, they just don't have enough people to treat all of these new COVID-19 patients. And that's because the staff is seasonal. It doubles over the winter to treat snowbirds staying in their second homes. But over the summer, it's a pretty small crew. And that's where these federal staffers are going to come in. They're all military personnel, and hopefully they're going to take the pressure off. And this isn't the only Riverside hospital that's looking for federal help. 5 other facilities have also asked the county. And we don't know which hospitals these are, but the county told me that the Northwestern region, which is Moreno Valley and Riverside the city, and the desert region are having the hardest times finding staff.
And finally, Mike has the latest on a battle between Hollywood writers and agents.
That's right. You know, more than a year ago, TV and movie writers fired their agents. They've been fighting over what writers argue are conflicts of interest when it comes to those agents working on behalf of their clients. The battle has lasted longer than it seemed either side expected. The Writers Guild already settled with some of the smaller agencies, but now they've worked out a deal with UTA, one of the industry's big 4 talent agencies. But one of the sticking points has been the agencies operating their own production companies, and some of those other big agencies that haven't signed yet have much larger investments in production. So making a deal with them could be harder. And the UTA deal requires at least one of the other top agencies to settle with the writers, or the deal is void.
Thank you, Mike. There's a lot of chatter. You were dealing with writers and unions, but there's a lot of chatter in the community that we're going to go to a full lockdown again. What are you hearing at the newsroom?
You know, there's definitely a lot of concern about that. I know I've heard from a lot of creative folks around Los Angeles who are looking at moving out of the city right now because they feel like they can't afford things and they don't know when they're going to be able to get back in front of the camera.
Well, thank you so much to all of you at the KPCC and LAist newsroom, and thank you for tuning in. Take care of your health, take care of your family, your neighbor, and we will see you tomorrow.